One thing that I would like people to know about me and my culture is that our culture really represents love and connection and family bonding. So on my dad's side, my grandpa's from Nigeria, and he makes this dish called fufu. And it's dough and soup, and you put the dough in one bowl, and we all dig from it. And it's a dish representing our culture, and it represents love and connection because it's a really family bonding moment. And that's something that I would like you guys to know about our culture. The best things that teachers and colleagues do for me is the ones that are close with me, they make a safe spot for me. They're very accepting and I can be myself. I feel like it is always good to have that environment around you, a safe spot. So
what do you want staff to stop?
Some staff can be very stereotypical. And I think it is very good, like I said, to be accepting when you're a staff member. So just laying a safe spot out for, a good learning environment.
One thing I would like people to know about our culture is that we are often underestimated. A lot of times, people feel that we can only excel in the areas of sports and entertainment, but we can rise to any occasion and to any challenge when we put our mind to it. And some examples of that are former President Barack Obama and Vice President Kamala Harris. What do teachers do best for me is communicate. I love it when teachers take time to let me know how things are going with my child. I am forever grateful that teachers have dedicated their lives to educating our youth. And I know that you guys are extremely busy, but it's nice when you send an email or a text that lets us know that our children are doing well between parent-teacher conference time. My hope is that when educators prepare to enter the classroom, that they leave all inherent biases and barriers based on negative encounters they have had in the past at the door, to make sure that they are able to be aware and sensitive to the needs of all of our children.
Something I think is important for people to know is that my ancestors did not come to the United States voluntarily. They were brought here as enslaved people and had to endure injustices such as families being torn apart, being sold like animals, suffered severe beatings, even to the point of death, and cheated out of basic human rights simply because of the color of their skin and the greed of this nation. We as a people continue to be disenfranchised in schools, the job and housing markets, in businesses and communities, again, because of the color of our skin. We are navigating a system that was not set up for us to be prosperous. What I want people to do is to connect with me from the heart or a place of respect, as you would most other people. Strive to look through a human lens when you look at me and my people. We are presidents, vice presidents, educators, doctors, military, scientists, just like people from other cultures in this nation. We are more than what the media shows. Just because we wear dreadlocks, braids, afros, and other non-traditional hairstyles or clothing does not mean that we are criminals, a threat, or uneducated. My ancestors were kings, queens, and inventors. My people have played an integral part in the building of this nation.
Moving to Oregon was a complete culture shock. I remember attending school for the first time, walking into the school building to the amazement that besides my siblings, there was no one else who looked like me. No teachers, no students, not even a cafeteria worker. Just to give you an illustration, back in Oakland, it was rare to see a handful of Caucasians in your classroom. I attended a predominantly black school, and at this school, just in my homeroom alone, there was 4 other students with the name Darnell. I share that story because I didn't meet another Darnell in Oregon until late in my high school career. Interesting enough, he was also a California transplant. I was used to being around other African American students. Now it was a rarity just to even see one. Needless to say, the start of my educational journey in Salem-Keizer School District started off a bit challenging. Although I always felt welcomed by my staff and peers, I never quite felt as I truly belonged. One of my early childhood memories as a new student in Salem-Keizer was being labeled as a SPED student and placed on an LRC caseload. Initially, I loved it because I would get pulled out of class, I would have the opportunity to play fun educational games, and I would be rewarded with candy. It wasn't until middle school when that became more of a hindrance than a help. I remember being embarrassed on multiple occasions. I dreaded being pulled out of class in front of my classmates. I remember this one occasion, I got the call slip, and as I was walking out of the door, another student stood up and yelled, "Ha ha ha, he's going to that stupid class again." Image is everything in middle school, and it was hard enough to just adjust to the social norms. I just wanted to fit in, and now I was being publicly ostracized by a label that the school district had placed on me. I remember going home that night and begging my mom to take me out of SPED program. She complied. Transitioned to high school, I entered high school as a Gen Ed student. Important to note, I had still yet to encounter any teachers of color at this point in my career. From my perspective of a high school student, as I looked around, I noticed that my class rates were becoming more and more diverse, but my teachers remained very much Caucasian American. It wasn't until a couple years into my educational journey where I was afforded the opportunity to have an administrator join our school community who looked like me. If you go back and review my high school transcripts, you will notice a vast improvement from my first 2 years to my last 2 years under her leadership. In all honesty, that was the first time in Salem-Keizer where I actually felt hope as an African American student. I now had someone pouring into me who looked like me, someone who truly understood the challenges that I dealt with on the daily. For the first time in a long time, the love and care I felt was authentic. And she made me believe I could do better. Under her guidance, I no longer felt like the invisible black kid sitting in the back of the classroom. I would like to give her public roses because without Cynthia Richardson's mentorship and leadership, I would not be in the position I'm in today. Thank you and I love you. Teachers, stop having low expectations for students of color. Please stop labeling them and placing them in special ed programs because of their opportunity gaps, yet provide them with the opportunities they need to develop success during their educational journeys, just like Ms. Richardson and Dr. Morales did for me. Please believe in them, encourage them, listen to them, empathize with them, and lastly, love on them. Admin, please stop overlooking the unpolished diamonds working in classified positions in your building. They may not articulate themselves in an interview the way you want them to. They may not dress, look, or act like you, but that's the beauty of diversity. Our differences is what makes us special. Please take that in consideration during your hiring process. Thank you all. Have a blessed day.
I hope that you will glean from our Black culture that is rich. It has made a vital part of America and where she is today. And I pray that as you look at our culture, as you look at who we are, that you will begin to see just how great we are and how we've had to overcome so much. I thank God that I have been able to work with great people like Miss Cynthia Richardson, Miss Leroy, and now I'm able to work with Mr. Latios. And I think the support that I've had down through the years, it has just been phenomenal. And because we've been able to work together, give and take. One thing about people, Black people, especially a man of my age, is that we've learned how to negotiate. I want us to start thinking about, as a district, how can we become inclusive and make those decisions that even though we're 2% of the population, we're still a vital part of Salem, Oregon. So there it is, coming from a 68-year-old man who has seen a lot. And I hope that this has been of value to you. Thank you very much.
In this culture where African Americans have been demonized and dehumanized, please see these students as human beings with many talents, skills, and aspirations coming with the mores of a community. They can succeed academically and have the potential to reach far beyond their athletic skills they may possess. As a holistic team surrounding and interacting with the students, teach with the belief that they can learn and succeed. Why? Because they can. Learning happens when someone believes in you. Learning happens when there's greater expectations of you. Learning happens when someone knows that you care and encourages you to reach toward your highest potential. Learning happens faster when every fair opportunity is given. As for eliminating racism, ask yourself, what do you see when you see an African American student? What do you see when you see an African American staff person or co-worker? In today's climate, now would be a good time to be taking a long, hard, soul-searching evaluation and assessment of individual beliefs and views you may hold about people or someone different than you. Implementing equitable practices can only occur when you can see inequities and willing to be a voice for change. I am hoping that something in these brief remarks resonates with someone, and you find that place for you to act.